how are you today? I am so very happy that you are joining me today for this process video on creating a star wreath and a page to hold my Christmas cards for this year. And so usually, I create handmade cards, but I decided that I wanted to do some family cards, and I'll chat more about that. But I wanted to do a star wreath for the longest while, and I am jumping right in with showing you my process for creating this star wreath. I started with pulling out, as you can see, lots and lots of stars from my stash, and I am going through them and I'm pulling out the colors that I'd like to work with. So I decided that I wanted to do this green theme because most of our Christmas cards are this dark greenish color, and so I said I want my star wreath to be greens, so shades of greens, white and gold, to match with the background paper that you're seeing, which is one of the December daily background papers, as well as the gold star acetate, which is one of my favorites from all time. And so I pulled out some felt stars, chipboard, wooden, this plastic ornament shaker type star from Felicity Jane, these starbursts from the Ali Edwards scrapbook kit, and so I'm just going through all the stars from my collection really that could work and putting this wreath together. And I probably spent a lot more time than just managing and maneuvering these stars and getting them into the position that I'd like. So I've always wanted to make a star wreath, and I really loved seeing the star wreath from, that would have been the December Daily 2019 album that Ali created. It was one of the lessons in product play for the wreath section, and I love all layered stars. I love all things stars. And I was like, I need to make a star wreath this year. And I loved pulling out all my stars from my stash that reminded me of Christmas. And a lot of these stars I haven't used yet, and it was really nice being able to shop my stash for this type of project. And I feel like these kind of stash busting projects really bring me joy. So just these are the plastic stars from this year's December Dailies offering, which I'm really excited to work with throughout the season. There are so many colors and patterns and sentiments on them, so I pull a few out from this set to work with for the star wreath. And so you see me going through all of them, and it's quite a lot. But I really like what they added to the star wreath. This was a really fun process, and I'm thinking this would probably be fun for anything that you have to do a sort of repeated pattern type spread, whether it's tags or hearts, and just kind of using it in various orientations and formations to create a spread for December Daily. So I may play a bit with those types of ideas for December Daily this year, and see what I come up with, and just have some fun and some play with those things. So these stars were from the outdoors kit. Is it earlier this year? That would have been last year, because we did use them in last year's December Daily. I think I saved them just for that, these gold foil vellum stars, which are gorgeous. So I really like that I had these in my stash still. And yeah, I'm just playing around with stars in the various orientations, various layers, what can go above, what can go behind. What I did do, though, I should say, is I started with my largest stars first that could fit for this spread. and then I went from larger stars to medium to smaller stars, just so you know, just so that the layers would kind of be, you know, a bit consistent and not be overpowering. So that's what I did to create the layers, and I ensured that, you know, the layers didn't get too thick, even though there is a lot happening. These are some of my favorites. I think you know, some of my unexpected favorites, these dark green stars, which are from some old kits that were on sale a couple years ago. And I really love just those, you know, sketchy type stars. So I'm pulling out some fabric stars as well to add some texture, and some acrylic stars. These are from L Studio a long time ago. So just really digging into my stash and feeling really good about using these stars. I really love that rose gold mirror type stars. And yeah, just playing around with those. These are some from a Cocoa Vanilla Studio, just some puffy fabric type, sorry, stars. And looking through all of my stash, my acrylics, and just pulling out as many textures as possible so that I create a really, I guess, multi-layered, just creating some interest in the wreath. And now I am pulling out some of the smaller size stars from my stash. These are some really tiny starbursts that I like, and I really enjoyed just finding these little elements to add interest and add texture. And of course, I really love how working from the larger size to the smaller size also helped with the process, because it helped to add direction in terms of which stars I looked at any particular point in time in the process. So just, yeah, going through and then fussing around all the stars until it looks great to me. And I think I just had to call it, because you know, you could fuss around and move around and maneuver all these things for a very long period of time. Every crafter, I'm sure you could all relate to this. And then telling myself, you know, Nolana, this is time to wrap it up. It looks good. So this is the final wreath. I put it on some plastic paper, and now I'm going to cut the gold star acetate down, and using this green and gold 8x10 paper to create a full page envelope for my 8x10 December daily album. I have committed to the 8x10 size. If you were following me on Instagram, you would see that I was having a lot of difficulty deciding which size I would use this year. I am a 6x8 type person. I love the 6x8 size. And I just felt like, I guess, some of the offerings this year from the Ali Edwards collection for December daily really lent itself well to the 10x8 size, and I decided to try it. So this is me, you know, trying it for my favorite project of the year. So that's a really big deal, because I did dally a bit with the 10x8 size for Week in the Life, but I guess because Week in the Life for me is not a very crafty project, I kind of, yeah, but I I was hesitant with trying the size, but here I am committing to this size. I think this particular foundation page was me committing to this size, because my previous pages, I could easily cut down both sides for it to become 6x8, but with this foundation page, I mean, I can cut it down, but I rather not. I really don't like doing double work, and so I think this was me saying, Nolana, let's commit to the 10x8 size and let's get these foundation pages done. And so what I like to do as part of my process is do foundation pages that I can complete right now, because all our Christmas cards came in, so I can complete this page and just pop it into my album, and that's, you know, a story that is completed. So all these things I would do between now and December, so that it is less work for me in December. And so here I'm cutting down the acetate strips, and I am measuring to do 2 side flaps, which I fold in 2, and I also would have cut down 2 horizontal strips for the front of the envelope, and making an envelope that can open up completely, just so that I can easily access the cards, as opposed to my original idea was to do an envelope that was sealed and I just pull the card out of the envelope as if it really were cards, you know, that you were receiving inside of envelopes. So that was my initial idea, but then I felt like, because we have so many cards and I couldn't decide on one design that I wanted to use, so I ended up doing about 6 designs that I really loved, and I just had, you know, in smaller quantities of each, so that I can give a variety of cards this season. And I am gonna send out, you know, not just to family and friends, and also some of my crafty friends. I'm wanting to send them to, so I'm really excited about sending those out this season. And so I've done the 2 side flaps first, and now I'm moving on to the front flaps, and just ensuring that they're the right measurements. And I also used double-sided tape to adhere them to the back of the paper, because I wanted it to be a seamless envelope. Now that's the thing, so working with the 10x8 size, I believe the 6x8 size would have been a bit easier, because I would have been able to use at least 1 sheet of 12x12 paper for this, and it would have been a bit less in terms of working through the measurements. But I did use 2. I used 1 full sheet, as well as half of a sheet or piece that I had from, you know, a previous project left over. I do have quite a few of these gold star acetates, because it is one of my favorites, if not my favorite acetate of all time. And I would link that for you down below if you're wanting to purchase some for yourself. But it's one of those designs that I use every year for December daily without fail, and I also use them for some projects throughout the year. So here I'm attaching some double-sided tape, trying to get it straight, and so it's acetate, and as you can see I have a skylight over me, so there is some glare, so I just didn't want my double-sided tape to be wonky. So I'm getting that done because it's a bit of length, and then I decided that I wanted to have just a slight angle of the acetate, just so that it looks a bit more realistic, as you know, a card envelope. So there is a bit of an angle, which you may be able to see when the final project comes together for both the top and this flap, so that it looks like, you know, an actual Hallmark type envelope. And you could see it here as well, it's a little bit of an angle. And so I'm pushing that into place, making sure that all the dimensions are well. Then I'm removing a piece of the double-sided tape and folding it back, which is my little hack for using double-sided tape. And then I make sure everything's lined up, and I press down one bit, and then because that's all lined up, then I could easily press down the rest of it and ensure that, you know, it doesn't line up bent or anything like that. So I usually get a very straight fold like that. I was toying with whether to have that as a flap or to go ahead and have a full flap, and I wanted to have a very full flap. I was also just looking to see what it would look like in the center. So me deciding what dimensions to cut this flap at, whether I wanted it to be as long as it is now or if I want it to be a bit shorter, just so that the wreath as well, once I add that to the front of the envelope, would line up where it needed to go. So doing those measurements, these are 11 inches across. The pages are designed to be outside of the page protector, and so putting a 1/2 inch crease in the paper as well. And then once I have those all done and creased, then I do a little diagonal cut again to just have that line up with the base flap. And I'm also checking to make sure that the cards can fit in neatly inside of the envelope with the idea that I have. So what I was toying with here is whether I just push the cards into the envelope like my original idea, or if I wanted to create just some gold cord lines to hold the cards in place so that even when they are in the envelope, they're still lined up. Because I guess when you have an acetate envelope, you could see how the cards, and I didn't want them to look too disheveled inside of the envelope. And so in the end, I decided to create 6 loops with this gold cord, a stretchy gold cord type material, and just punch holes on the top and base, 6 holes, and then string the cord through it to create just some holding places for the cards inside of the envelope. And so that's what I'm doing now. I'm just measuring up to see where to cut the hole before adding that top flap in. Now what I should have done was I should have punched these holes both on the top and base before adding that base acetate. So if you are wanting to use this method, please don't get distracted like I did and get excited about the project and forget to punch your holes before sticking the acetate down below. I mean, of course I could have tried to remove that acetate below, but I thought it would have been too risky, and this paper is too beautiful to tear. So I decided that the size of the holes that I was creating were quite small, and because they are gold stars there, and they're also the goal of the leaves, you probably won't see them, that there were 6 little holes punched in. So I decided to just go for it and punch it through the acetate. But it would probably just look better if you punched it before. So this is me punching my 6 holes through my acetate and being very annoyed that I forgot that to do it before. But yeah, I'm just going for it, and I am stringing that cord through and ensuring that I have enough space to and enough cord to go the whole distance. I measure out the cord that is needed for the entire project, and then I cut the length that I needed. But what I could have also done was thread it from the base or last hole and then thread it through to the first hole. So now that I have the length that I need from the cord, I'm just threading that through all the holes in a taut manner, and ensuring that I do have a little bit of pull on them so they don't get too saggy over time, especially with holding the cords or with gravity, depending on the direction or orientation that you store your album. So ensuring that those are all in through the 6 holes top and bottom, and then once that's in, I could secure the cord, and then I can put my cards into place in the, I guess, orientation or manner or format that makes me most happy, and secure them, knowing that they would stay in place throughout the season and beyond, and they won't, be pushed around and in the envelope over time as I open and close the envelope working on my project. So I really liked doing this. It's the first time I think that I've tried this for an envelope. I like working with envelopes of all sizes in my projects, but I've never created something that allows the envelope to stay in place. And so now that the cord is all attached, I can go ahead and attach my top flap to the envelope over the back of the cord, and it really just looks a whole lot neater in my eyes. But as I said before, you can't really see the holes on the base, so even if you do stuff it up a bit, it would still look good. Of course, there's also quite a bit of glare when you're working with acetate, so that's probably hiding the holes as well. And so now that I'm done with cutting my flap on the diagonal, I am just getting the crease properly with the bone folder, doing my little do with my double-sided tape, and then I am attaching that to the envelope. So it is a little bit bulky, but it is doable. It was actually a lot more doable than I thought when I saw the bulk of the cord, and it does adhere really nicely, and it does keep the cord in place, which is also pretty important as time goes on with the wear and tear. So once I have that done, I have my flaps, and I'm happy, y'all. I'm so happy about how everything turned out. I had been ruminating about the idea for a while, and so it's really great when it leaves my thoughts and come into reality, just the way I envisioned it. So now I'm just, working through my do with the cards and putting them into place, and they are staying quite firmly in place, which is what I really wanted. I could stagger it, I could have them in a straight line. I have them, the cards that I wanted to be seen on top, which I chose the one which is the full, or pretty much full picture of our family as the one on top, and then you could see peaks of the other designs happening with the other cards. So just playing around with that a bit, even though nobody's really going to see it but me and you. And so and then I can attach my wreath to the front as the clasp or fastener for the envelope. And I really like that I use the picture that I chose for our Christmas cards as the centerpiece of the star wreath. And so now I'm just putting that little gold one, tricky little one, into place, and putting some double-sided tape on the back of the wreath, and then positioning it onto the top flap so that it's like a clasp, and it forms the centerpiece of this envelope or spread in my album. So this is pretty much what it's going to look like. I'm just ensuring that I put the double-sided tape in the right place, because I need it to be on the top flap and not have any overlap of the adhesive on the lower flaps. So just making sure that works well, and then adhering it down to that flap. And this is me just double checking and making sure it all fits in the right position, that it's centered in the envelope. Sometimes we have projects like this and then we realize it's a bit too far to the left or to the right. Sometimes this doesn't bother me at all, but sometimes it really irks me when I stick it down and it's a bit wonky. So just double checking that and the measurements. And I am adding a little bit more adhesive glue dots to some parts of the stars, just under the stars, so that it is a bit more secure. And I am going to just gently yeah, line it up and then remove the backings of the adhesive. I decided to just remove the thinner adhesive which I have to the upper portion, just because I'm afraid that that thick piece might overlap a bit onto the lower part of the envelope. So I'm doing that first as a safety measure to ensure that I don't stick the wreath down to both sides. And then I realized that the larger or the thicker double-sided tape below can work, and so once I realized that that lines up well, I removed that after. So this is the completed project, guys. I hope that you enjoyed being here today. I really enjoyed sharing this process with you, and I look forward to sharing all the December daily foundation pages with you. Please subscribe to my channel and join me over on Instagram for more inspo, and I really look forward to everything that this season brings. Bye guys.